Well, so maybe this'll be worth $1 trillion? Probably not, but maybe. So it looks like OpenAI might be trying to create their own smartphone because they're out of ideas on how to become $1 trillion company. I mean, that is the realistic answer here. Again, I talked about this before with the CFO of OpenAI. It was like a month or so ago. Said like their business possibilities were like a spinning Rubik's cube, right? So she said, a Rubik's cube has a gazillion ways to solve it. And so if you look at the way OpenAI can make money, think about it like a spinning Rubik's cube. At which point I about lost my mind because I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. That literally doesn't mean anything. And the curious thing is, like, as we move forward, it becomes very interesting to take a look at OpenAI to really see that they don't really seem to understand what product that they're trying to sell. So Anthropic has really been taking off in the past number of months, and one of the reasons is because they focused on the coders, right? They decided that they really want to support the coding environment. They really want to support the developers out there, and so Claude Code, right? You think Anthropic, you think Claude Code. If you're a developer, you're gonna get Claude Code, so on and so forth. One of the interesting things when you look at OpenAI, there's this interesting question of like, what are they selling? Like, no, but they're AI. But again, AI, like when I talk about things like AI, remember this is technology, right? It's like TCP/IP version 4. Imagine if you had a friend of yours who came out and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna create a TCP/IP v4 company." And you'd be like, "That, what does that mean?" Are you going to build a website? Are you going to build some kind of IoT network for devices? Are you create like a communication solution? Like IPv4 is a piece of technology that you tie into other pieces of technology in order to build a real product. And one of the interesting things that you find when we start taking a look at OpenAI in 2026 is there is actually a real question of, no, but seriously, what product are they selling, right? It's this AI solution. So, I mean, it can give you answers, it can give you pictures, it can give you some code and that type of thing, but they don't really have a good sales pitch. And again, it's interesting when you look at the other AI players out there. You look at Anthropic, they're going hard into coding, right? If you want to do code, you do Claude Code. As I talked about before, I got rid of my OpenAI subscription a little while ago, and I'm thinking about getting Claude Code. I'm thinking about spending $20 a month on Claude Code, just because I do hit the Claude Code limits every once in a while, and because they're hyper into code. And it's like, well, what problem do I have? All right, I'm creating these projects, I'm creating these demonstration things. Again, JavaScript. Anyways, I just want to make my JavaScript life just a little bit easier, so I'll buy Claude. Like, what is it? Anthropic sells an easier way to code. Right? You look at Gemini. So one of the curious things, like with Google, is I really had no interest in using Gemini. Can I be completely honest? No, and not even from a snarky thing. I just didn't care. But the curious thing is, right, that Google is tying Gemini so tightly into the search mechanism anymore. Half the time I'm using Google's AI, even when I didn't mean to, many times even when I didn't want to, right? But what is Google at the end of the day? Google is an answering system, right? It's not really a search engine anymore. It's not that type of thing. It's a place for when you need to go and get general answers. So whether it comes from a website, whether it comes from their AI, all I really want is that answer. So you got Anthropic, and they're doing code, and you got Google, and they're doing answers, and you got OpenAI. And they're doing something that apparently is supposed to be worth $1 trillion. And I think OpenAI is getting to this interesting point is they don't really have a differentiator. Why do you go to OpenAI. And so now they're going out and they're trying to grasp for reasons people should care about them. And so it looks like they may now be going after a phone. This looks like it's probably true. They purchased, was it Joan Ives? So the designer that had been with Apple for like 20 years went off, created his own firm. OpenAI bought that firm last year for something like $5 billion. So we know that they're coming out with a hardware device. So it looks like they might be trying to come out with a phone here. This is from TechCrunch and other places. OpenAI could be making a phone with AI agents replacing apps. There have been plenty of rumors about OpenAI's hardware plans, which involve launching a pair of earbuds. A new note from industry analyst Ming-Chi Kuo suggests that the AI company might be working on a phone collaboration with MediaTek, Qualcomm, and Luxshare. Kuo, who has reported on several Apple hardware plans in the past, said that OpenAI would develop a smartphone chip with MediaTek and Qualcomm, with Luxshare acting as a co-design and manufacturing partner. The analyst's note also suggests that instead of apps, a smartphone could rely on AI agents to complete different tasks. Kuo suggests that by creating its own smartphone and hardware stack, OpenAI would be able to use AI in all kinds of features without restrictions. With ChatGPT nearing 1 billion weekly users, a hardware product for daily use could also bode well for OpenAI's ambition to reach more consumers. Kuo believes that OpenAI's smartphone will be designed to continuously understand users' context. By offering the phone itself, the company could gain access to more data about users' habits than an app on the phone could. He also said that the company will work on a mixture of small on-device models and cloud models to handle different types of requests and tasks. The analyst said the smartphone specifications and its component suppliers are expected to be finalized by the end of this year or by the first quarter 2027, with mass production of the device expected to start in 2028. Earlier this year, OpenAI Chief Global Affairs Officer said that the company is on track to announce its first hardware product in the second half of 2026. Several reports at that time indicate that the device could be uniquely designed earbuds. So this is where OpenAI is going. They're going down the route of building hardware, because maybe that'll give them relevance. It won't, but maybe it will. When I look at this, again, like, it looks good. Like, on paper, this sounds like a smart idea. One of the things I was really interested in years ago when they were talking about augmented reality is I went to CES and Intel, back when Intel was Intel, right? They came out and they're showing all these really cool products that they had, right? The little Edison system on the chips that they came out with. And they also came out with this augmented reality system called Jarvis. And what it was it was like this ear system. So it looked like a big ass hearing aid that you put on, had all the computer devices there. And the curious thing with it is all you did was speak to it. It literally had no screen whatsoever. And I was actually pretty excited about that, right? That's a pretty interesting thing. Now, to be clear, that was like 14 years ago. We don't really have that right now. But again, it is an interesting idea. And so the idea of OpenAI basically becoming the device, right? So Uber would create an OpenAI app, and Lyft would create an OpenAI app, and Domino's Pizza would create an OpenAI app. And that OpenAI would start to understand what you like and such. And so when it's interacting with the apps, it might be able to give you a suggestion, right? You know, you go to order a Domino's pizza, you know, it knows that you've liked Meat Lovers pizzas in the past, and literally the OpenAI app can say, oh, you know, Domino's is having a sale on Meat Lovers pizzas. Or you can go to your OpenAI app and you're like, you know, I really want a Mexican pizza tonight. And it says, well, there are three pizzerias that you've gone to in the past that have taco pizzas. You have preferred this particular pizza joint the most in the past. On the other hand, I can see your bank account. You don't have a lot of money, so maybe this other place still has a good taco pizza, but it's half the price. Like imagine being able to talk to your phone again, and it's fully context aware. It's context aware both for what the vendor is offering, and it's context aware of your overall situation. What are your preferences? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What's your finance? Do you have $20 in your checking account, or do you have 20,000? I know that gets a little creepy, but I'm just saying, right? Are you in a new place? Maybe you like to try new things, right? So you go to a new place and it's like, oh, I'm just tired, even though I'm at a new place. I'm just going to get a pizza tonight. And then maybe the OpenAI AI app can say, hey, I see you're in a new place and I know you're tired, and so you just want a pizza because you know what it is, but you're in Canada. I think you might like a poutine and smoked meats pizza. They're like, huh, well, it's pizza and I want pizza. And I don't know poutine and smoked meat. I'll take right? Think about it being that kind of context aware. I think it's a really, really great idea on paper. Reality, reality, no. The reason I say reality, no, is I knew a lot of people who owned the Windows phones. Remember the Windows phones back in the day? They were so I had the old school Motorola Qs. So after the Motorola Q, after iOS became popular, after Android became popular, Microsoft came out with their own mobile operating system. I knew a lot of people that had those Windows phones and they really liked them. One of the reasons they liked them is they were fucking plastic. The entire thing was plastic, which sounds cheap, but yes, it is cheaper. And if you drop a plastic phone, you're not worried about a $1,000 device going boom. Anyways, they liked the look and feel. They liked everything about it. The thing is all the oxygen was taken out of the air by iOS and Android. Everybody was developing for iOS, everybody was developing for Android, and there were no developers left for Windows. That's just how it was, right? And so Microsoft failed on their phone. You then look at things like Amazon, right? So Amazon came out with a Fire phone. If you've been following me for that length of time, because again, that was like 10, 12 years ago, I was excited about the Fire phone. I thought the Fire phone was a really good idea. I was wrong. It failed miserably. It failed so bad. Nobody gave a shit. Look, the Fire phone had some really cool things going for it. I had no idea it would fail that. It failed bad. It failed so bad. I think Facebook even tried to come out with a phone because, it's Mark Zuckerberg. Of course they tried to come out with a phone. Remember they tried to come out with this weird fucking phone? They tried to come out with a phone. And again, it failed. And one of the things that you see is that for whatever, iOS and Android just own the market and they take all the oxygen out of the room for anybody else trying to compete. And that's just how it is. The other thing that I think is interesting is there's a whole argument. Remember when Rabbit came out? So Rabbit was a little AI device. There was Rabbit, and then there was another pen thing. And one of the big arguments that came out is, look, people already own smartphones, right? I've already spent X amount, let's say $1,000 on my smartphone. It already has enough computing power. Why do I want to buy another little AI device, right? I already know how the smartphone works. All my apps work on the smartphone, right? I have my workflow. Again, workflows are the most important thing. I know how the workflow works on my smartphone. Basically, just give me a more powerful AI piece of software on my smartphone. And so I think that's the other thing where it's gonna fail is everybody's already got smartphones. These smartphones are more than powerful enough to be able to run these AI processes as they are. Why are they going to want to buy another device? I'm not really that interested, but I would rather buy a more full-featured OpenAI app and put it on my iPhone than worry about some kind of OpenAI device. And then, again, from a competitive standpoint, what you look at is the big question of what is OpenAI really offering that the other vendors aren't, right? So if you look at iOS or if you look at Android, again, you either got Apple, you got Google. They already have their ecosystems. They already have their vendors out there, right? So when Apple comes out with their next kit, right? Do they have AI kit? They might have AI kit, right? They can just come out with AI kit and they can say, look, Uber already has an app that works on the iPhone. It already works on the Apple Watch, and it already works on the iPad. So in order to connect into AI services, here's the 20 more lines of code you have to add. And so Uber is looking at it and they're like, we already have this whole stack on iOS. Again, look, they've got to do real work. We do a month or two of integration, and we can have full AI capability just in the iOS world, and we know what we're going to get out of it, right? Versus you have to do a hell of a lot more development into the OpenAI ecosystem, and God knows what the return is actually going to be, right? Again, Android, you got Google. Google's already doing what Google's doing. And so basically when I look at this, from a technical standpoint, from a just on paper, I think it seems like a good idea. I can see a lot of value proposition from there and all of that. Brass tacks, the real world. I think they're grasping at straws. I mean, the more you look at OpenAI right now, like OpenAI, Sam Altman is like Mark Zuckerberg if Mark Zuckerberg wasn't sitting on like $100 billion of profit every year. Like we can laugh about Mark Zuckerberg, and I do laugh about Mark Zuckerberg so much. Again, they try to come out with phones, they come out with the metaverse, they're fucking around with AI. Look, I don't know what the hell Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do, but the reality is he is doing that from a position of running an insanely profitable company. Now, now think of Sam Altman basically as a Mark Zuckerberg without the insane amount of profitability. He's just burning money. And that's what I feel like when I see so much of this stuff coming out of OpenAI. I feel like they're grasping at straws. I feel like they have no idea how to get to the revenue numbers, how to get the profit numbers that they need, especially for that $1 trillion valuation. And so they're just trying to throw crap against the wall. And I don't know, maybe it'll work. I don't buy it so much. So what do you think about this? What do you think about OpenAI possibly coming out with their own quote unquote phone? Do you think that makes sense? Just from a practice, if that was just that, there's nothing else going on in the world, would that be interesting to you? And then when you look at the iPhones and the Android phones and everything else in the world, do you really see that they would have any real competitive advantage there? And then also, again, with this whole OpenAI thing, all snark aside, I don't know, is this shit starting to seem desperate to you? It's just starting to seem desperate to me. So I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. See y'all later.